Alright, so we have a treat for you today. We're not showing you any of our trailers. We're actually going to show you somebody else's trailer today.
Yep, we met up with a friend of ours. Jim has a 34V Avion. It is the big triple axle.
The three-wheel beast.
Yeah, it is. And he has done a ton of mods and upgrades. And I just kind of go through my list.
Go through her list.
Want that.
Adding to the honey-do list.
And you guys are going to want a lot of the things he's done. Check it out.
Let's roll. Y'all say when.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Jimmy V for United RV here in Fort Worth, Texas. We've got an 85 Avion 34V. This is my second Avion. We had restored an older model 15, 20 years ago.
How big was it?
It was a 28. Sold it to a lady that sold Southwestern style jewelry on QVC, and she pulled it around behind early, I say 60s, 70 model Lincoln convertible.
What?
It's still out there today driving around our rig.
And you can pull it with the Lincoln.
Yeah, she had a big old Lincoln town car. I mean, look in the owner's manual. It shows cars pulling them.
That's true, that's
true.
That's true.
So we're obviously in North Texas. We looked all over. We knew we wanted this floor plan. I was open to year, but we knew that we wanted a 34V. I was hitting social media, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, everywhere I could hit trying to find one, and I found this one up in Bum Scratch, Iowa. I want to say it was North Liberty to be exactly. We left here on a Thursday night at 9:30, got there at 10 a.m., drove all night long, did the walk around, did the paperwork, hooked on, and then drug it straight back, and we rolled in at 3 a.m. that Saturday morning, nonstop, 30 hours, 2,000 miles, cannonball run. And from then it went straight into the shop. We've been doing work on it non-stop to get it to where it's campable, and a bunch of upgrades and mods, which we're fixing to show you. And we've got two other things that we've got to do to it, but we'll start at the front. We're going to, and there's the missus. You park behind it?
Yeah.
Coach.
Okay.
So we'll start in the front, we'll do a little walk around the outside, and then we'll head to the inside. So tanks were already relatively polished out. They're not as haggard and as scabby as some of them. So we just went over it with some blue Duracoat. It kind of did a little teeth whitening on them. They're not fully polished. I'll eventually get there. I've done a lot of metal polishing, so eventually these will be polished, but for now they look good. So we're kind of tight on the front. So we cut the welds on the propane tank, slid the propane tank brackets as far as we could, in order to put a UWS ATV toolbox, which houses both of our deep cycle marine grade batteries. It also houses our 1,000 amp inverter. We've cut breathing holes on both sides, because anytime you got batteries and an inverter in there, you want to be able to get those fumes out. On this side, we've got a Perco on-off switch, so we can shut all the batteries off, we can turn all the batteries on, we can turn on both battery number 2 or battery number 1. For this case, since I'm plugged into shore power, I've got them off. If you want a good battery disconnect, I highly recommend a marine grade Perco. It has brass poles on the backside. You can leave it exposed to the elements. They come out of the marine industry. They're a little expensive, but they're very high quality. Toolbox fits perfect, or battery box if you will, fits perfect. Original tongue jack, it's still in good operating condition. We cleaned it up a little bit, put in a new breakaway cable. The other one had seen better days. Front rock guard, they're normally in pretty bad shape, pretty weathered for mid-80s model. This one was just like all the others, so we pulled it off, did some fiberglass repair, sent it off, and had it rhino lined. And it added probably about 10 to 20 pounds to it weight-wise, but now it's just bulletproof for those that have rock guards that are a little long in the tooth. We did find some vintage hardware for the stays. These were also bad. They lost their spring over the years, so I was worried about it blowing up in like high winds, which y'all can probably hear in the video today. It's 30+ mile an hour out here. I was worried about it blowing up. I heard you could put in some cotter pins in there, but let's go back and do it right. We found these on Vintage Trailer Supply. Outside's in really good shape. I'm surprised that the front corners aren't all beat up. We did go all the way down underneath and completely cleaned the lower skin. We sealed up where the frame goes into the underbelly section. We repainted the frame after sanding it. A couple little dents and dings as you would expect. All the Zip D awnings are all original. They're all functional. They're all in really good condition. All the window seals have been replaced. We did limo tint all the windows for privacy, air conditioning, upgraded Goodyear Endurance tires, high spec aluminum wheels. They are 16s instead of 15s, so they fill out a little bit more of the wheel well. The central bushings have yet to be replaced, but I did source them online, so we're going to replace the central pivot bushings for the half axles. Otherwise, we gutted all the original suspension. We went with the Dexters that have the big bushings in the center, and then we did a wet bolt kit. So all the suspension's brand new. She pulls, I mean, they already pull great, but it's hard to explain how well she pulls. This baggage door going underneath one of the beds was pickled. It was rotten, the wood was rotten, so we took it out, pulled the framing apart, made a new core, put a textured black plastic liner on top, put it all back together, only to find out that this back door was pickled too. Frame's been cut, and a big stainless steel square stock bumper was made. It's the same width as the Avion, and then it has a smaller receiver hitch in case you want to put in a rack for bicycles or what have you. All the marker lights have been swapped out with a 4-diode slimline from E-Trailer. If you do order them, make sure you get the bracket. If not, you're just going to get a box full of LEDs with a wire. You want the bracket that goes with it. This is the only light that I found, and I've got one loose inside that I'll show you, that actually uses the original hole. So it's 3 inches on center from hole to hole, so you don't have to drill into your skin if it's in really nice shape. All the marker lights all the way around have been replaced. We did replace the rear tail lamps, the assemblies. These are all LED. They come from LED4, the number 4, LED, the number 4 RV.com. They come with the bezels. We put clear Sikaflex around the backside, and then you can see around the edge we've got butyl tape. Came with the hardware. They worked flawlessly, and the great thing is you don't need any resistors, any type of wiring. Your little light bulb socket, it already comes wired as such, so it plugs right in, and then you're hot. Reverse looks great. It'll light up probably a good 15-20 foot behind you. Love it. Original Zip D awnings, they're in pretty good shape. We cleaned up the arms, the bars, the covers for them. The pulls are probably going to need to be replaced at some time. They're a little bit haggard, but otherwise they're in really good condition. You can expect to see your typical hail damage, a couple of little puck marks here and there. We did do a full roll-on silicone roof, which is hard to see from this angle, but we do have a full silicone roof. Seals up all the rivets, things that you're always having to maintain with butyl tape, with those that use a type of silicone to seal around the rivets, which I don't recommend. I always recommend you use the metallized butyl tape, not butyl tape, but Eternabond. Almost all the rivets were already coated, but we wanted to go ahead and seal it. That way we're done and there's no maintenance involved. Hot water heater was a little long in the tooth as well, so we put in a 10-gallon Suburban gas and electric hot water heater. We also converted it to 50 amp from 30. I always recommend anybody that's upgrading your power cord that you use a smart plug. It's probably one of the greatest RV inventions ever. Traditional RV fires start from that really weak Hubble connection at the RV. Most RVs that are this age are going to be wired directly to the converter, so you just have a cable that pulls out. You don't have a loose cable. This one has a loose cable, and that's what your plug looks like, and it connects just that simply. And it's got big brass prongs, 4 of them, and it's got a flap that comes down, and then all I do is reach in, plug it in, we're back hooked up to 50 amp, just that simple. Fresh water city fill, it was corroded. We put a brand new one on. Again, we cleaned up these window awnings as well. Refrigerator only worked on gas. I can't just have a refrigerator that only runs on gas, so we swapped it out for a Frigidaire 110. Went in there pretty close to the size, and you'll see when we go inside. So we're pretty happy about that as well. Most of the baggage door compartment latches have been replaced. I'd say 90% of them. There's a couple of them that are still have yet to be replaced, but I've got new ones. Damage, we've got a little whiskey ding right there. We've got another one up here, and other than those two spots and a little bit of light hail damage, that's the only damage you're going to find on the OEM skin. There was a video that I posted on how to clean this up. It was in very poor shape when we got it. It looks really nice now, but you can still see a little bit of cloudiness, a little bit of oxidation that's already started to eat into the anodization. So you start pushing that boundary of, am I going to eat through the anodization and get down to the bare aluminum, trying to take off the oxidation, or do we want to call it an 85 model and grin and keep camping? That's what we're going to do. Original data tag still on the coach. We'll go inside and I'll show you a little bit about where we're at. We've still got a little bit of work yet left to do. Little loose step there that we've got to re-weld another tab, or we're going to remove it and replace the whole piece, but it does fold right up and has a nice travel cover for it.
Does United RV sell those travel covers?
We don't. I don't know if they can be sourced from anywhere
also,
or
you have
not.
no power in your house right now.
Oh, that's why.
What did we?
Did we intentionally turn power off at the house?
Encore.
I just got a notification from Encore. There's an outage and it could be 2 hours.
That's great. That's perfect timing.
It's something else to fix.
Yeah. And there's no lighting in here.
Without power, without lighting, thanks to Encore,
Let me
we're
get a
gonna give you a
candle.
tour.
Or get a lantern. Inside, 99% original. I am hooked up to the house, but we just lost power. We got a notification from Encore, so we're in the dark. I can go in the garage and light us a Coleman lantern if you want. Original couch, fabric was in nice shape, but it was really dingy, really grungy, so we had a professional company come out and steam the couch. It looks really good now. The original OEM panel I still have. It was a little worse for wear. It had too many people that were poking around on it trying to make things work, so we just gutted it. We pulled the entire panel out and simplified things, and we did this ourselves at United RV. And what we did is we added a master switch up here, which I can label anything I want. Normally you would see my voltage, but we don't have power at the house. We have USB charging and 12-volt charging here as well. This is the remote on-off switch for the inverter because I am hooked up to my batteries right now. I can turn that inverter on and it'll turn on that residential refrigerator behind us. Radio, upgraded speakers, gas and electric Suburban hot water heater, traditional water pump switch with tank sensors, and they do all still work. So since we're not using the refrigerator, I'm going to turn off that inverter that's outside. Again, we blacked out all the windows. It's not hot outside, but it's really comfortable in here, and you can see when you're doing the walk around, it was tough to see in, but you really have great visibility, even with, if you're considering limo tinting your windows and you see how dark they look from the outside, don't be afraid to. I have the same on my truck. I can see out perfectly even at night, but that level of insulation and privacy is great. You'll notice all the cabinetry's missing all the hardware. We just haven't reinstalled all the hardware since we removed it. We're just going to clean them all up and put them right back on. Next year's project is going to be to remove all the cabinetry, sand off this shellac, and stain everything. It's going to look really nice. Original countertops, original deep double well sink. We did replace both faucets in the kitchen and the bathroom with Moen. We did go with Levelor cellular pull down blinds, except for in the front, those are all the original curtains. These are probably the best looking ones that we could find and the nicest. Booth. Somebody at some point in time has recovered this booth in kind of an old Oldsmobile blue velour. It'll work for now. I'm cool with it. Ceiling lights have been replaced with LEDs. You'll notice we have 2 air conditioners, one forward and one aft. We are 50 amp now, so I can run twin low profile Dometic Penguin 2 AC units. With the spray insulation that these come with, it'll be freezing in here even on the hottest days, which I'd much rather be comfortable when it's really hot outside. It's North Texas. We did put in a fantastic fan right above where the camera's at. The newer fantastic fans come with these little nifty remote controls and a little pocket that you can screw to the wall wherever it's convenient for you. These I'm just going to leave loose in the drawer, but I can adjust the fan speed. They do have rain sensors on them, and they aren't covered, so we can open them up, leave them open, and put the Avion in storage, and the hot air is still going to escape because hot air rises, and that's also going to help protect all of our electronics and what have you. Midland radio up front. Almost everybody we camp and travel with has Midland 2-way radios, so we do have a base station on the left side of the console and an antenna, a magnetic antenna up top. That way we can communicate with our friends throughout the entire campground, even if we're out without cell service. Big shout out to Midland, USA. Old refrigerator came out, put in a stainless Frigidaire. It fit perfect width-wise, but you can see this is considerably shorter up top. We're not quite sure how we're going to fix this. We're probably going to put a sheet of aluminum following the roof line and use this kind of as a bread basket or a space for bags of chips. But right now, that's one of the projects that's not quite finished. We did come up with a nifty way to lock our refrigerator door. I showed you all in a video earlier. We just used the hinge brackets from this side, pulled the cap off, put in a straight piece of all thread that screws right into the existing holes, and did the same thing on our Montana that we had before this. So that right there is what locks the refrigerator door in place. Just look in there. I don't know if the camera will get it. There's 2 little holes in there. That's the extra holes if you want to reverse the doors. So we pulled the cap off, and then this screw goes right in said hole and will tighten all the way up snug, so you don't have to worry about finding all your food laying on the floor when you get to your destination. This was kind of a last minute design, but I've done it before and it works perfectly, and now it's in there. Refrigerator's mounted on both sides, and it's mounted on the back side, so it's not coming out. You don't have to worry about finding it in here. This is a little sensor for both AC units. Modern AC units have a central thermostat, and they're computerized via a data cable, and they're constantly taking a reading. So when you get back to the 10-panel thermostat, it'll actually reach that desired temperature and then shut off. Back here, we've got brand new mattresses coming from City Mattress in Fort Worth. We picked them up, but they were a little bit too wide, so we took them back today, and they're trimming them down for us. Still have the original valences. Again, all original stain. We didn't change anything back here. Very little up there. And even though we are pretty dark back here, so one of the things that looks a little awkward is this plumbing that's sitting out next to the toilet. There's still enough room around the toilet, but that 10-gallon hot water heater is backing all the way up to the edge of that piece of furniture. So we're going to make an aluminum cover that's going to cover all that, and you'll never know it's there. This little device down here on the bottom is part of my Hardwired Progressive Industries EMS HW50C. It's a hardwired surge guard. So that hardwired surge guard, every time I'm plugged into any power source, it's always going to be protected, and you don't have to use a portable surge guard. This one's just already hardwired. Swapped out all the lights back here for LED, again level blinds. Changed out the faucet as well. Had a custom made shower curtain to fit the little seat in this big residential bathtub it has. Hanging closets are everywhere. You can carry all of your grandmother's wardrobe with you wherever you want to go camping. Flooring was redone as well. They laid down kind of a faux wood over the original linoleum, so it's got some extra insulation in there as well. It's good. There are some things we are going to leave. We're going to leave this crazy old marbled mirror. You just don't see that anymore. I thought it was kind of a cool touch.
People haven't decided. We kept ours right now. Some people are like, how do you get rid of it? Some people are like, how do you keep it?
There's some things I love from the 80s. I don't like marbled carpet, but a marbled mirror, yeah, I'm on board with that. I dig it. We did have to pull down several of these roof panels in order to run the data cables and that extra piece of Romex to fire up that second AC. We found a very similar sized rivet, just drilled out the old, dropped down the panels and went back and replaced them. The original ones are painted, so they're not as obvious. So throughout the roof, there's some that are all brand new and shiny. So we're gonna see if we can paint match this original kind of dirty liquid paper color and put it on a Q-tip and just touch up those rivets.
So you're not gonna paint in here at all.
No, we're not. I want to keep everything as original as possible.
Yours isn't dirty. Ours was dirty. So ours looked like they cooked in there every day.
This one was actually in really good shape. It was just a little dirty, needed a good cleaning. I'm talking about Tilex on a rag and just wiping stuff down, kind of making it our own. Our goal is to leave pretty much, you're never going to see this thing with the cabinets painted white and leather sofas and fancy flooring. This, even though we had no choice, it was just cheaper to put in a residential 110 refrige versus putting in a two-way gas and electric. So that's pretty modern. The control panel's pretty modern. Going to 50 amps, pretty modern. Having 2 ACs is pretty modern. Having limo window tint, all the suspension upgrades. We did spend a lot of money on certain aspects, but as far as the exterior being polished up and cleaned, everything else is going to stay the same. We're going to leave these old 80s window valances where they are. We don't know what we're going to do with the blue booth at some point, but it's all campable. I don't want to make it modern and come in here with a bucket of white paint and just start painting cabinetry. This is back when everything was all hardwood, so I want to leave it hardwood. I want somebody to be able to enjoy the wood grain. So next year's plan, replumb it with PEX and redo the cabinetry, and then we're done. So it's really just 2 things that we have left. Replumb with PEX plumbing, and then literally sand all the cabinetry to get this shellac off there, and then go back just a little bit darker, kind of like a naughty alder in a modern 2020 built home. But otherwise, that's all we've got left.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the tour. Trailer looks great. Yes.
Okay, now we have a log of all the things that we can do to the trailer because you recorded everything.
Yes.
Daphne, who wears it better?
Where's it better?
Daddy. I'm joking.